here I am again. Ken, $1 million question. Can you guess where I'm going? You know what, this is probably the biggest trip so far, in that this is the trip where we actually buy the gold mine. So as you know, we've been kind of like in due diligence, if you want to call it that, but it's definitely a different type of due diligence, because we signed the agreement to buy the gold mine back in January, and there were several conditions in buying the mine that we wanted to see met before we closed. The first and most obvious was we wanted to do our own mining there, so we knew there was gold there and it was in sufficient quantity. And then we wanted to get new seismic studies done, which we just had done, and it identified 9 different sites with significant gold mines. And I think the most exciting part of all is the geologist that did the studies confirmed for us and staked his reputation on it that our claims are an extension of the, sorry, I was just looking at the gate. This is the gate I'm taking off from today. Our claims are an extension of the Bullion Pit. Not that they're just beside it might be part of it, but it's an actual extension of it, which means, remember the Bullion Pit, as I was telling you guys, I think in episode 2 or 3, is where they pulled, I want to say 1 million ounces out of gold out of there by hand between 1900 and about 1940. And what's really great is most of the land that we're doing this on is virgin land, which was the other thing that he told us. So I'm really excited about it. On this trip, I'm going to fly out to Kelowna, BC, renting a car. I'm going to stay overnight in Kelowna tonight because I get in at around, I say midnight. And then I'm driving up to 100 Mile House, which is about 3/4 of the way to the mine. And I'm going to stop and meet with our lawyers that we've retained to close the deal. And I'm going to sign all the paperwork to actually become the owner of the gold mine. And then after I sign all the paperwork, I'm going to head right up to Likely. So I'm going to take you on this journey again. Got lots to go through with you guys so you can really understand what we're up against. And, you know, the other thing I should mention to you is we got, oh my gosh, 14 uncontrolled forest fires about 40 miles north of us. So always adventures on this. And like I've said many times, friends, if you want to get in on my draw for 10 ounces of gold that I'm going to give away in November, all you have to do is subscribe to our channel and like this video, comment on this video, and you got to go back. Listen carefully to this. You've got to go back and like every video, watch every video, subscribe to every video, and share every video. At the end of the year, we're going to take everybody who's done that on every video, put them into a draw, and somebody's going to get 10 ounces of pure gold, which at today's rates in Canadian dollars is about $33,000 that I'm giving away on this channel. I wasn't actually going to turn the camera back on again on the plane, but this flight today is at sunset, and it's just gorgeous outside. So I'm going to see if I can turn this around and give you guys a chance to take off. So we are the next flight to take off. I don't think I've ever done this before, but you can see it's just sunset in Toronto, Canada. You can hear the jets coming up on the plane, and yeah, here we go. Well, let's take off together. We're on a 737 MAX today, and it's about 4 hours and 20 minutes to Kelowna. Toronto, Canada, Canada's biggest city. That's outside. So what I'm really excited about, like I was mentioning before, is that this is the trip that brings it all together. So for the last 6 months that we've been together in this video series, you guys have watched me evaluate buying this business. We set it up so we could evaluate, we could educate ourselves. In this time, we found an amazing general manager that I get a chance to work really closely with, and we're quickly becoming friends. And he's doing a great job of running the mine. We've had our fair share of issues with equipment breaking down and everything else that's gone along with it. What's really cool about what we're going to see when we get to the gold mine tomorrow is that for about a week and a half now, there's been a community service organization called the Community Forest Organization. What they do is, with the permission of the government, they clear the land where we're mining. They've been in there cutting down those big trees, those big, beautiful trees for the last week. And they're basically clearing about 1.5 miles wide by 200 feet. No, 1.5 miles long by 200 feet wide. And that's where we're going to be mining. Now, we have made a deposit for this when they gave us the permit. And we legally have to plant new trees all over. So, and I think I'm really excited about the remediation part of this because I was proud to know that all these things are in place and make sure that we recover the land and put it back to what it was. And also, we have that second area called the China Farm that they put a new road in, and the guys have been mining there for a couple of days, and they've been finding significant amounts of gold. I'm going to turn this off. I'm actually going to get some sleep, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. I'll be in Kelowna. Okay, so it's been quite a busy day today. Let me see if I can get out of here. Here we go. I'm back on the site, and just like the last time, by the time I got here, everybody's done. And we're done a little bit earlier, as I've just found out, for some different reasons. So anyway, let me tell you guys what's happened today. So right now, as I'm recording this, it's 7 o'clock at night on the next night. And I got to Kelowna last night around midnight, got to my room, woke up at 7, and then I went to Kamloops. If you look at it on a map, you can figure this out. And I met with two dear friends of mine who are involved in this project with me. And then I met Dan in town in Likely at a really nice little bar. It's called the Likely Lodge. If you're ever wanting to come down here and check out the place, stay at the Likely Lodge. They're good people. I know the owners well. And I got an update on everything that was happening here, which I'll give you some of the details of now. And then I came to the mine, which I've done already. And she's nice and quiet around here. But the big things that have changed, I'm gonna take a little walk again. Gonna watch for the bears though, it's that time of night. Hopefully we don't see a bear. If I do, I'll turn it around and show you. But unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, I've only done about half days of mining since I was here the last time. And Dan explained to me that the big reason why is the area that they're digging up the pay dirt right now is under construction. So here in British Columbia, where this mine is, they have a partnership with a not-for-profit organization called the Community Forest. And whenever a mine needs to clear out where they're going to be mining, meaning taking down the trees, this is how really amazing this whole process is in terms of rejuvenating and bringing back the forest afterwards and what they do with the wood. Nothing is wasted. So they do a partnership with the Community Forest, and a whole bunch of volunteers come in, and I'll turn this around right now and you can see what they do. They do all the clearing for us. So what you can see there, the last time we were here, a couple guys who saw the video knew what it was and I didn't. It's actually a piece of logging equipment. And this, where I'm walking right now, was all trees the last time that I was here about 3 weeks ago. And the Community Forest guys come in, this is their equipment, and this is the claim that we're permitted to go hard on this year. And we've done a bunch of test pits in this area, and we know that several different places we were able to find 1.5 ounces of gold every 100 yards. And so we basically had to slow down our operations to give these guys a chance to do their work. So they've been in here now for about a week, and this is what they've done. So they're taking down all the wood, all the trees, and they're going to take the wood, and I don't know what they actually do with it, but I know it's all not for profit, so it goes back in the community. I believe what they do is they sell the logs to a company who buys it from them, and then all the money that they make clearing and the logs, it goes back into the community. And so they're going to go up here. So this is 160 feet wide from side to side, and it's going to go about 5 times farther than where it is now. And that's basically the claim. And this is one big bench, which means underneath all of this is gold. And so what Dan told me today is that the Community Forest guys are going to be here for about another week to get this finished. And then our guys are just going to go crazy, start digging up the pay dirt in this whole area. We believe that there is a lot of gold in the ground here. And this will probably take us the rest of this year and into next year. So the permit's for 5 years. Now, we don't know how many of those years we're going to be using. It depends on how deep we can go. Our geologist that was here over the last couple weeks believes that we're going to go down about 100 feet here and still find lots of gold. So that's probably the biggest change since the last time I was here, is seeing all the work that the Community Forest guys have done. What's really great about this is, if the gold miners, if the placer miners were going to be tearing this down themselves, they would literally just tear it down. It would just be ruined, all the wood. So I love that the Community Forest is involved in this, and that money that they make from the logging is all going to go back into the community. I think it's an amazing process. And you can see what's interesting is, as we're filling up our ponds, And we've had rain. We see other ponds are being formed, which says that there's clay underneath this and it's holding the water. So it might be something we end up doing in the future with that. I'm not quite sure. And then that pump over there is pumping water from the stream up the road down to here, the mining operation. As you guys remember, the last time I was here, I walked you through how this all works. That big Hitachi excavator up on the hill is what loads the 2 wash plants that are right beside it. And then all the cleaning happens under where those trailers are. And then if you look carefully between those trailers, that's my hotel room tonight. And that really talks about, you know, it's a startup. So we want to be smart with all the money, make sure we don't spend things frivolously, make sure we save every penny we can, including the owner hanging out here down in the woods. Now I got to tell you one thing that I'm a little bit nervous about on this trip. Right now, we are in a really heavy forest fire scare, I don't know if that's the right way to say it. In this part of British Columbia, central and northern British Columbia right now, there are about 38 out of control wildfires happening. And when I got to Likely, I can't see it from here, it's about 4 or 5 miles that way. There was a fire there, and it was being bombed with helicopters. I should have gotten some video of that for you, but I just didn't even want to be near it. So I checked with all of the online mapping systems. I know my family's going to see this, that's why I'm including this. And even though the forest fires, if you've got strong winds, they can do like a mile every hour. But what I did before I decided I was going to stay here tonight is we checked with all the forest fire websites that they have that show where the forest fires are, and all the weather websites, and the wind is going that way. So the fire that's over there is going to keep going that way. Now I've asked Dan, who's in Williams Lake at home right now, to keep an eye on it for me, and I'm going to keep an eye on it too. And if the wind changes at all, or if that forest fire stays out of control, I might not be here in the morning. I'm not going to take any chances. So that's it for tonight. I'm just going to hang out here, and tomorrow we're going to have our team here. Because of the forest fires and the warning index that they're at, I think they're not at the dangerous level, but the one right below that. They've changed the rules about when we can mine. So we can start mining as soon as the sun comes up. We can actually mine in the night, but we can start mining as soon as the sun comes up. But we have to stop mining by 1 o'clock. And so you'll see the guys here nice and early when I get started tomorrow morning, they'll already be at it. So we'll get a look at the actual production in effect, and we'll go from there. One last thing, really exciting. On my way up here, I stopped in 100 Mile House, British Columbia, and signed the papers for the actual acquisition. So over the last 5 months as we've been going through this, we've been doing all of our due diligence. We proved that there was a lot of gold, obviously. We've gotten about 60 ounces so far, even though we haven't been at full production. And we had the seismic geology guys in here, and they showed us the 9 benches that have a ton of gold that makes it worth doing. So we've waived all our conditions, and we're closing on the mine on Thursday. So by the time you see this video, we're actually going to own the operation, all the equipment, the land across the street that the owner's house is on, and we're going to be guns a-blazing forward. So we'll see you tomorrow. All right, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in Williams Lake. I know, big surprise, right? Because when I talked to you last, I was at the gold mine. Well, here's what happened. I think I mentioned there's tons of forest fires in British Columbia right now, and they're all over the place. Well, right when we were having dinner, that forest fire started growing. Now, it was probably 9 miles away from the mine, but I guess I've got too much on the line. I found out my risk tolerance last night. I decided to drive back into Williams Lake around, I want to say 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I stayed at the Super 8 Motel, which is just down there. You can't see it. The 5-star Super 8 Motel. But look at this, it's 5 in the morning here. The sun is already up, and this is Williams Lake. This is where it all started back in January. And just filled up the truck with gas. I got a coffee, got about an hour's drive to Williams Lake, and then we're gonna meet up with Jim, and we're actually gonna go for a walk. We're gonna go find some really great locations where we can plan out the rest of the season, and we're gonna check out the guys who are already working. They've been working there since 5 a.m. and which is about 20 minutes ago. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm on a little walk with these guys. That's Dan in the striped jacket, and that's Jim that we're buying the mine from. And I want to show you, so we're talking about next year right now, but there's something really amazing that I just learned that I want to share with you. So remember what I was saying before, the whole idea with placer mining is that we're bringing in geologists to tell us where ancient rivers were and where ancient channels were. And we're on the access road right now. So let me turn the camera around. You can see this is the road we take. Our current mining site is down there. But when we had the geologist here 3 weeks ago, what I'm showing you right now is where he was most excited. And I'll tell you why really quickly. If we take a look at this area, but what it looks like is a channel. So when we're walking along the side of the road, you can see how it's steep all along the sides of the road on both sides. But right here, you can notice how it's steep on this side and there's huge rocks. So basically bedrock comes right up to the surface here. And then over here on this side, we see the same thing. So what we're looking at here is a channel, is an old riverbed. And the geologist said that the bedrock is only about 40 feet down here, but because it's such a fast moving old ancient river that came down through here, the gold deposits are gonna be huge. And he basically said that straight up the side of this mountain to the top of the mountain is probably one of the richest gold deposits on the whole property. And so what we were just doing as we were walking down here is talking about what it's gonna actually take to do this. It's different equipment. Basically, we're gonna be climbing up the side of the hill as we're digging out the pay dirt. And so that's what's really exciting about this. You can see how long this road is, how far up the road the guys have gotten now. But all of this area is in the 1,800 acres of claims that we're dealing with here. And that's really what I wanted to do this morning. I've actually got to head back to Kelowna in about an hour. I wanted to go through this area here. So take a look at this, friends. This is what I mean by the sides of it. See how steep this is now right off the road versus that area we just saw? That's what Jim just explained to me. It is like one of our biggest potential areas in this whole pit. Next, Dan and I are going to take a run down to China Farm, which is an area where Jim has always maintained that our biggest gold deposits are. We have a test pit that we have permitted down there. So we're going to start digging and pulling gold out there, as well as in the area that they're logging right now. So huge potential. Let's go down to the China Farm and we'll take a look at that area and we'll talk about why that area is going to produce significant gold as well.
So initially, I thought that the legacy claim was there, but it's not. My GPS just hadn't calibrated. It's here. Basically that bank. So as you can see, we're right on it.
Yeah.
This was good. It's now full of water, so that's good to know. It means there's a shit ton of water around here. So we were hoping that that would continue that way, but it doesn't. So there's a good chance that this here is a channel.
All right, I want to take you guys back a few episodes. Do you remember the episode where, I'll put the link in the bio of this, but where I literally almost died walking? We went down to, it's called the China Farm is the name we've given it, because the Chinese miners were here years ago to check out this area in the pond, and we did all that. Well, we're back here now. We've put a whole road in. I'll play a little bit of the video on the way out so you can see the road. But what we're looking at here is just about a yard that we took from here to do a test, and we found almost 2 ounces of gold in the sample, which was absolutely crazy. But so this is, again, if you think about what I was talking to everybody about a while ago, about old ancient channels and stuff, you normally see higher banks on the sides, and then if you know you're in good ground, you're going to see a combination of big rocks and different colored clays in what you're doing, and you can see all of that here. So what was really great is they did this little test and they found gold, and it was corroborated by the banks on the sides, the stones and everything else that we have here. Now we have a test pit license that allows us to go 30 meters by 30 meters or 15 meters by 45 meters. And that's what we're doing here now. We're gonna bring a machine down here and a wash plant down here and start mining in this area also. And then we're gonna get full permits for next season to come here because of what they found in those little samples there as well. So lots of exciting stuff going on. So if you think about overall what we talked about in the series so far, we wanted to spend the first 6 months to do enough to know we were into major gold deposits. We've confirmed all that. We've signed all the documents. As of tomorrow, we own the property and we're putting big plans in for the future. Oh, here we go again. Dan finished showing me the area and I could hear the water. And I said, how close are we to the water? And he said, not too far, you want to have a look? And I said, oh yeah, what the hell? Well, look at the crap he's got me traipsing through. What's interesting about this is that we knew this area 80 years ago. There were Chinese miners that were here mining, and we've seen lots of things that confirm that. Now, it doesn't deter us though, because back then they would have just been mining by hand and they wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near the big gold that we've been able to do. I don't know if you can hear the water like I can right now, but we're really close. I'm going to try and keep the camera running the whole time, but I will not keep the camera running at my own detriment. You got to be able to hear that now. I hope you can. But it's basically the Quesnel River. And yeah, look at that. Turn this around so you can see it. Remember, water's important for mining, but you wouldn't want to fall down there. Holy shit, look at that. It's freaking beautiful, eh? That river is probably some of the best salmon fishing in Canada. All right, I can't promise you this is going to be enjoyable, but this is a brand new road that they put in to make this work. And I'll kind of just hold it up here and we'll see what we get. Where I just showed you guys is probably the biggest potential we have right now that's permitted. So we're definitely going to do it. Look at the size of this hill we're going to go up. There's our other excavator just sitting there waiting for some parts. When they break down, they sit where they break down until you get the parts. This road was only built 3 weeks ago. And here we are, out of the China mine site. This is another piece of equipment we have. This is actually an operating bulldozer from the 90s. And there we are. So we're just gonna head back down to the mining site and we'll take her from there.